Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Stream of Chaos. My name is James, and I'm the keeper for this game of Shadows Over Stillwater, which is a Call of Cthulhu campaign set in the Down Darker Trail setting. That's Call of Cthulhu in the Wild West. This is, unless something incredible happens, the last session of this campaign, a campaign that's been going for a very long time. We're very excited to bring you the wonderful conclusion of. There's a lot of content to get through, so let's jump right in and get the cast, who are fantastic, as always, to introduce themselves. So, Jackson, do you want to start?
I would love to, and thank you for asking. Hi, I'm Jackson. I'm playing U.S. Marshal Jeremiah MacDonald, possibly for the last time, who, when we last saw him, he was sneaking into a town full of cultists, as best as we can tell, and not doing terribly well incognito. But we'll see what happens.
Thank you very much. Daniel, do you want to go next?
Yeah, hey, I'm Daniel. I play Agent Mountain Man Griff Gutherson, and last time on the program, I was jumping into the water supply under the impression that Doc wouldn't poison it if I was in it and gonna be poisoned along with it. But as I fall into that, my certainty of these events is uncertain.
Fantastic. Would you like to go next? And do I notice a amazing character costuming option there? Am I correctly seeing your eyes, or is that my imagination?
Well, I mean, hi, I'm Art. I play Dr. Joseph Waite. In the last we saw me, I believe there was an eldritch being in the back of my mind. So I think,
oh man,
that seems. I don't think I need these anymore. I think this is it for the game. When the keeper says your eyes turn black, I can't. These took 30 minutes to get in. I'm not going full Scalera, but this is the closest you're getting.
Well, that is
terrifying.
So cool. Amazing. I love it.
Had to do something. Also, this better be our last game because these are one use only.
Oh no, this will. I think.
This will definitely be Joseph's last game.
I think you're safe. Fantastic. Oh, those are so cool. All right, and Dave.
G'day, I'm Dave. I don't have context, but I did acquire a cannon during the most recent session, and unfortunately, I've had to leave it behind. But fear not, I will move heaven and earth to fire it at something during this session.
Very important to do.
I won't tell you about my potential plans to explode it then, shall I?
Don't you dare.
Did anyone else write down the name of the cannon? Because I keep forgetting it.
The Kingmaker.
It was a Kingmaker, but it was in Spanish.
El Rey Hasador.
El Rey Hasador. Okay, I'm going to write that down so I don't forget
Thank you.
it.
Which is probably like
called
making of a king.
Cannon.
Like it doesn't in Spanish. I bet it doesn't make any sense.
Close enough.
No, I guess. Well, Google Translate is the best we can do. That's all right.
So for those of you who are just joining us, this is the final episode. Go back and watch the rest before you see this. But if you would like to jump in here,
get a sense of where the characters are going to end up. Lend a bit of dramatic irony to your
I guess we should
your
say,
future viewing.
I guess we should say spoiler warning.
Yeah, maybe.
Spoilers.
Well, here's a brief summary anyway. Our investigators are members of a group who have been hunting down the various lawbreakers who make up the Green-Eyed Gang, a group of outlaws who have done terrible things and who have been associated with the mythos. They've tracked them the length and the breadth of New Mexico. They have searched through all the South for them, and finally, one by one, they have put them to justice. Sometimes that meant putting them in the ground. Sometimes that meant letting them go. But one way or another, the Green-Eyed Gang has been dealt with, all except for their leader, a man named Christopher. Our investigators have tracked Christopher to a town called Castronegro, hidden away, which doesn't appear on any maps, and they've headed towards the town to settle this once and for all. Mac, the marshal, and the, I suppose, de facto authority of the posse, has been told under no uncertain terms that this is an investigation that he should put to one side, but he's decided to put his career on the line and throw everything to the wind and go for it. And his companions, the rest of the investigators, have traveled along with him. Christopher must be stopped at all costs. Our investigators traveled along to Castronegro, but upon arriving there, they realized that, well, the journey had taken somewhat of a mental toll on Joseph, the doctor, who had pulled them out of the fire so many times and whose knowledge had managed to save them from all of the terrible things, but who, in the process of doing all that, had carried some spark of the mythos with him for so long. So while Mac and Grease, the marshal and the newly crowned deputy, I suppose you'd say, went into the town of Castronegro to try and figure out exactly what was going on, Griff and Joseph stayed outside, and the doc revealed that he felt the only way to really ensure that the disease that was inside Castronegro, Christopher's evil, didn't spread and destroy the whole world, was to take out as many people in the town as possible. This decision resulted in an argument between Griff and the doc, and Griff has just jumped in to an underground river and is being swept away as the doc stands dazed with jet black eyes, almost, or maybe not entirely, at least somewhat overtaken by the mythos, while inside Castronegro, inside the saloon there, Mac and Grease, who have been sitting talking to some of the other patrons, hear the door open and a hush fall over the entire saloon as Christopher, the leader of the Green-Eyed Gang, steps inside. Now, is there anything else we need to add, or shall we jump into things? All right. So there's one thing that I'd like to add before we completely fold ourselves into the action. I was trying to think of a parable, some kind of fable, a story. That's always how the best stories seem to end. You draw everything back to a moral. And unfortunately, I couldn't exactly think of one that perfectly encapsulates this. All the ones that I could think of, always missed one detail here. So the best I could come up with was that eventually the hunter becomes the hunted. And all of you have found yourselves being hunters, at least in some way throughout this campaign. Not necessarily hunting people, hunting knowledge, some of you. Some of you hunting people, and some of you hunting, I don't know, freedom, acceptance, something. But one way or another, it all turns around at the end. And that's the theme I want you to carry into this scenario, as inside the saloon in Castronegro, Christopher steps in and a hush falls over the room. Christopher is a very, very old man. He is almost decrepit when your eyes fall to him, and you can immediately tell it's him. There's a couple of features that immediately give it away. For one, everybody in the bar falls silent or hushes. Some people drop their drinks. The bartender actually is in the middle of, moving some bottles from one of the shelves and stumbles, and a bottle of liquor smashes to the floor with a clang, and silence falls over the entire room. Christopher is old, but apart from that, relatively unremarkable. Standard clothes, perhaps a little soft, not laborer's clothes, something that you might expect a priest to be wearing. Not robes, but just comfortable, staying inside most of the day. The only thing that makes him particularly remarkable is that his right eye is a plain milky white, but instead of any iris or pupil, there is what looks like a jagged cut across the eye, quite wide, and in it is this brilliant, bright green, like you were looking into a distant nebula, and you can almost see fragments of stars inside it that shimmer and that twist and that are quite difficult to look at. The first time you see this, so Mac and Grease, I'm going to need you both to make a sanity check. It is disturbing, the kind of eyes that you just cannot turn away from, as Christopher steps into the room. Now, you know this man to be the source of so much trouble. You may just turn and fire. Grease, I know you made some jokes about that. I want to hear what your reaction is, and I want to remind you of the situation one last time. The room falls silent. People drop things, and an old man with a brilliant, bright eye steps into the saloon and looks over the people. His eyes come to settle on the two of you, and the one good one widens, and he watches, waiting for a response. For those of you who failed, I want you to take 2 points of sanity loss. Those of you who succeeded can take none.
Is he like close enough that he's like looking to start something? Is he expecting us to say something?
He's walked into the room and he's pretty close. He's within 3 or 4 meters of you, but he's at the door. He's frozen in the door and he's looking at you. He seems to be, this would be an appropriate distance at which to have a conversation. A lot of the people in the room are staring. Some of them are, standing up. They look like they've just seen a religious figure of some sort, which they have step into the room.
Well, if he stops relatively close to us, I would stand up and say, "Can I offer you a seat, old timer?"
Grease, do you say anything? Do you do anything?
I step to the side. I'm the younger one. I'm the one who should give up their seat. I pull it out a little bit.
Christopher stays still for a few moments and then nods. He turns to the people in the room and he waves his hand the same way you might wave, a religious symbol to put people at peace. And people sit down. They're watching him. Some of them are leaning over their tables, clearly desperate to overhear every single thing that he says, but they at least seemingly go back to their business. And the old man steps over, takes a few long steps and nods at you and slides into the chair, Grease. The bartender quickly starts picking up, bottles. He's knocked over the sort of a bottle of water that was sitting under the counter that he used to water down whiskey, and he sort of panicked. He starts pulling out bottles, turns back to the collection of you. Another whiskey, sir? He says to you, Mac.
That'll
All right.
Fine.
He starts pouring another. Christopher says softly, with water. And he has an impeccable southern accent with just a hint, just the slightest hint of actually make a psychology test. Let's be sure that you pick it up.
I do not.
Okay, unfortunately not. Grease, you have a shot too. There's only 2 of you. No, you don't? Well, there's something else
I do
in
not
there.
have the psychology skill.
Okay, fantastic. In which case, you don't know exactly what. There's some hint of something, but you aren't able to place it. The man behind the bar, starts fumbling around. He says, I'll be back, and rushes out. Christopher kind of turns away from his drink. It's not ready yet, and looks between the 2 of you. He doesn't really know who to look at. Are you on either side of him at this stage, or Grease, have you come around to face him?
Yeah, I'll circle around and stand next to Mac.
He looks between the 2 of you with his one.
Has the woman we were speaking to departed, Madam Gill?
Yes, she goes quiet for a while and has sort of sat looking down as if, quite scared of this situation. When you move, she takes the opportunity to stand and kind of dart away. Christopher continues to sit there watching the 2 of you. His one good eye darts in between your faces and he keeps almost saying something. You see his face twitching. And eventually, you found this place. You found it.
Yeah, well, mighty rainstorm happening out there. Saw lights. Reckon we could find some place to dry our clothes.
Well, I mean, I know who you are. I've been following. You're Marshall. I know who you are. There's no need for that. I know who you both are. I recognize your faces.
I'm sorry. I do not know that we've had the pleasure. You had me at a disadvantage. Where have we met?
He stops for a while and, tilts his head. Well, I don't think I do have you at a disadvantage, but my name is Christopher Vahia Piera. I think you knew that.
Still don't know where we met.
We haven't met, but, I've been following your career, I suppose, of interest. You've been tearing around the state, going through Hank and Maria.
They're friends of yours?
Friends, former employees. Are we gonna play a charade or something? Is that what this is? And not gonna talk frankly?
Well, I suppose if you want to lay it on the table, I'm here to enforce the law and bring justice to those who break it. I'm here to find out if that's what you've been doing.
Enforce the law. Is that why you're here too, son?
I take my badge, which the two of us had removed, and I put it back on. I don't say anything though.
A couple of people at the bar are starting to look, and they seem, interested. They seem curious at the direction of this conversation. Christopher looks between the two of you. Enforce the law, right? Well, I know that's not the case. I made sure of it. You were told explicitly not to come after me. I leveraged every contact I had. You're breaking the law being here, unless I'm mistaken.
No, it wasn't the law that told me not to come for you. It was just men.
You answer to a high law. Is that what you're saying? You're driven
Yes.
here?
The one written down in books. The one that can't be corruptible.
He looks back to the bar for a moment. I want to jump away for a second. We're going to jump to Joseph. You see Griff step backwards and then vanish, fall deep down into the darkness. And in a second, the light is gone and you can just hear rushing water below you. You have still in your hands this great block of powder. But why don't you describe the situation? What do you do in the immediate moments after you see Griff vanish?
Pause for a moment. I respect Griff. I care about him. I don't want to hurt him. But I ain't gonna let him stand in my way. So, to that end, I will do what I intended to do, which was take half of what I have and dump it into the water supply. However, I will ensure it is dissolved first, so there is no chance that he could accidentally breathe it in. If he keeps his mouth shut, he might just survive, and I'd prefer it if he did.
Fantastic. Small mercy. You bend down and you begin to apply. I'm not going to make you roll for this. You know how to do this. Everything has been leading up to this moment. And you come
I'll
up.
remind you, extreme success on the making of this thing. I'm pretty sure it does what I want it to do.
You absolutely do. You have a very, very potent substance here. And as you stand up, the rain is pouring down around you and you are completely soaked, except you've kept very carefully dry in a waterproof packaging the rest of the powder. Your face is streaked with water that is just dripping down and eyes are still shining black. What next? Where now?
I have a few things I'd like to do, if that's all right.
Absolutely.
First, I would like to get my canteen, which I believe is relatively dry, given that I do not drink water. I would like to take my bullet removal little saw, put a hole in the neck of it, just big enough for a wire to fit through, and then I'm going to go to our lovely cannon, get me some black powder, and I'm going to make myself a pike bomb.
Okay, fantastic.
And I
Head
have
over
two
to
other things, but that is the immediate next.
That is the immediate next one. Brilliant. You head over towards the cannon. You pull out your flask, and I'd like you to make a power check as you do.
Ooh, not my flask, my canteen. My flask.
Oh, your canteen. Sorry, canteen is also fine.
My flask is still my flask, and I have plans to do things with that. Don't you worry.
Perfect.
Now I'm worried.
What is the risk of failure?
Not huge. Just tell me, first of all, because it might no longer apply. Can you describe your flask for me?
My flask?
Yeah, no, sorry, no, your canteen. Sorry.
My
Thank
canteen.
you.
Oh, it's just the standard, like, I guess, pretty normal army issue. Like, it was the canteens that I would have bought when I got all of the camping supplies. So we got like 4 of them, and I gave 2 of them to Grease and Mac when they went into the town. Being like, don't drink the water.
Okay.
So it's like probably a decent size, enough to like sit on a saddlebag, not so big that you couldn't drink out of it, but bigger than obviously my flask. Screw cap, or actually possibly even like latch cap, depending on how they're put together. Yeah.
All right.
in my brain because military.
No, fair enough. Forget the canteen for a second. As you're making the pipe bomb is when this is going to occur, and I don't think you'll want to push or luck this. You'll be fine. Although you can if you want. The consequences will be there's still some vestiges of something going on in your mind, and failing, they'll reveal themselves in some way.
I mean, at this point, I think Joseph is like, if he feels that, he's like, well, hey, I hope you're enjoying the ride.
Brilliant. So as you're going through with your equipment, at one point, just for a second, you come over to your laboratory equipment, which is still sort of half set up from the work you were doing earlier. And you have a small mirror set up in place, something that you would use to basically cut powder on to make sure that you're getting the correct amounts and that it's not shining into the table. And for a split second in the mirror, just for a moment, you see a different face. It's your own face, but it's not you. It's not you as you are now. Your eyes aren't black. Your eyes aren't as lined. You're just shocked and you're staring at yourself. And for a split second, you have this moment where you're face to face with something, and then it's gone. And the rain continues to pour down. From the outside, it just looks as if as you're working, you hesitate, and then it's gone.
Lovely. If I'm able to put that together, I will say it's half full with black powder because the other half. Well, we'll get to that.
Yep. Okay.
I'm sure you can work it out, James.
Mm-hmm.
You're a clever keeper. I'm then going to go to my medical bag.
Yep.
I'm going to remove all of the stuff in there that is associated with the snakes, any mythos, the book, everything. I'm going to move it into the satchel that I gave Grease to carry paper.
Yep.
Any remaining powder in my laboratory, I will probably just scatter it, but any of the actual physical objects go into a satchel. I pull out my gun, 2 vials. I write a very short note.
Okay.
Which I'm going to slip into the medicine bag. I'm going to secure the bag to a horse that is fine. I am going to refill my flask. And then I'm going to call some friends.
Okay, fantastic. You step forward after making these preparations, and you can see the town spread out before you. You take a deep, sighing breath. We'll jump back to you in a second. Griff, the world is suddenly turmoil. It is chaos. You are being thrown around from side to side, freezing cold water. You thought it was cold out in the rain. No, this is ice cold. You are a survivalist. Every instinct in your head is, why are you in here? This is death. But at the same time, it's everything. You're finally surrounded by an enemy at the very, very least. There is water plastered around you and you go tumbling through the dark, hardly able to breathe. I would like you to make for me a constitution test.
I'd love to. Let's give that a go.
Don't fail.
That's a success.
Okay. As you are smashed against one side of the wall and smashed against another, somehow through miraculous energy and determination, you manage to keep your head above the water. You manage to keep your mouth shut. You are dazed as water splashes everywhere around you and you continue to tumble through in the dark. I want you to take a D4 of damage as you are just thrown to and fro. You cuts all across your body.
Yeah, the lowest possible number.
You're slammed all about. And as you start heading further down, you start to this thing could drag you anywhere. You in the depth and the dark, you hardly know where you're going to get to. I need you to make a navigation check.
Yep, that's fair. All right, 1 navigation check coming up. Okay. Oof.
Okay, you have no idea which way you are going. You see a crossroad ahead of you. You know, you can basically throw yourself to the left, tumbling down, or throw yourself to the right. And because you failed this, you have no idea. If you'd like to push this roll, you can, instead of throwing yourself to one side or another, wait to try and hope that you have a stroke of brilliance. If you fail, you've waited too long and you're going to slam straight into the wall before being thrown in a random direction. But if you succeed, you'll quickly think. Otherwise, random.
Okay. Can I argue a luck check?
A luck check.
And just 50-50 it.
Sure. What would you deem lucky? Where are you hoping to go?
I want to be at the bottom of the well.
Okay, fantastic. Make a luck check.
I would love to make a luck check. All right. There's a hard success.
Right. You throw yourself in that direction, acting completely on a whim, and you continue to tumble forward. The water gets, more and more rampant as you are thrown in this direction because other streams meet it. That's good. It is the path towards the well, but unfortunately, that means you're going faster and faster and faster, and suddenly the walls of the well are rearing up in front of you, and you have time to think for a second before crash. Back inside the saloon. Christopher is nodding a few times. He turns back towards the two of you. One of the, people in the bar leans forward and seems about to say something to the group of you. Christopher waves him off, and he looks like he's been admonished in the worst possible way. He casts his eyes downwards and looks truly chagrined. But Christopher doesn't seem particularly annoyed. A few moments later, the bartender comes back, and they're holding, a small bucket. They put it down underneath the bar, fiddle around, fill a small bottle, and then pour it into the whiskey glass. And, you hear the matter, "You are, sir, fresh from the well," as he pushes it out. Christopher nods, takes the glass, takes a sip, puts it back down, looks across the collection of you. So, well, I'm interested. Before we continue, would you indulge me? May I ask a question or two?
Suppose you can, as long as it's relevant to what you've been up to these past weeks.
I suppose it's relevant to what you've been up to, really. He kind of leans forward. His body is old. He's very old, but he looks, he still has energy in his movements. Not necessarily, it's not like he's physically lithe, but there's still a power behind him, particularly what he says. As he looks up at the collection of you, he says, why did you do all this, Marshal? What drives you? Really? What drives you to the letter? Because I like to think of myself as a smart man. I've looked into your actions. I've looked into the ways you've bent that law written on paper. The things both of you have done. Why did you do all this? Why'd you come after me? Are you are you a specter? Are you a ghost wandering the West in a hat and a terrible coat?
I'll let that slide. I reckon I'm out here to help people, save them from tyranny, any form it comes in. That's the law I follow.
Save them from tyranny. I see. What about when they bring that tyranny on themselves?
Ain't no man's done that. It's always someone up the chain.
I see. That's an interesting way of looking at things, I suppose. How far does someone have to... How much does someone have to do before they're the tyrant and they don't get saving no more?
That's what I'm here to find out, unless you got anything to confess.
He kind of stays silent for a second. He looks towards you and... Grease gunless? What about you? Is it fame and fortune? Is that it?
Oh, it's a lot simpler than that, sir. You're a villain. You done things that are irredeemable, and I'm going to kill you.
You're thinking in that sharp, that black and white.
I reckon. Well, I seen some of the things you done or what you put into motion. Irredeemable, sir.
Irredeemable. Right.
Yeah. Maybe there's a
'Cause
part
of-
of you that knows it and will say this is salvation. I hope so. What Mac and I are trying to do is ultimately to save your soul, but I reckon it's blacker than tar.
I see. I see. And what about the irredeemable things you've done, Grease Gunless? Like I said, smart man, I hear news from the Scanlan Ranch.
I
hear about a
confess my
funeral.
sins. I don't keep my secret. I'll be punished for that in time, but I reckon I can make amends.
What about me? Can I make amends?
I don't think you're interested in him, sir. I think you're fine at talking. I'll give you that. I think you got all these folks round around your finger, but I don't think you're interested in amends. I think you're interested in power, securing things for yourself.
I posit to you, boy, that you couldn't be more wrong. You think you know a little bit about God because you were brought up by nuns, right? Let me show you something. And he fumbles around in his breast pocket, and he pulls out a small, weathered, basically oaken board. Something that you would have seen similar things like this carried by priests. These are old missionary tools. These are things that would have been brought to places where missionaries were trying to spread the word of God. But as he turns this one around, you also get a vague sense that he holds it with the same kind of respect you might expect the marshal to, as if it was some kind of badge. Specifically, it has carved into it a cross with a tree on one side and a sword on the other. And around the outside, there is an inscription in Latin. And he puts it down on the table. I know more about the word of God than you ever will. And he shoves it forward. Does that mean anything to you? Does it? If either of you have occult or history, you can make that roll.
I got a little occult.
All right.
I got a little history. Oh wait, what's
There we
base
go.
history? Up in base.
I think base is 5. So
Oh,
A
okay.
cow.
I got a little history. Ooh.
Okay. So both of you recognize this actually, which and you feel a sense of foreboding even. Greece. This is the symbol, the plaque, and one of the markers of a member of the Spanish Inquisition. This is a very old kind of holy symbol, and one that carries a lot of weight and a lot of dark history attached to it. And he puts his hand on it, seeing the recognition in your eyes, and he says, I dedicated my life to the exact same virtues that you dedicated your lives to. He looks down. Everyone else in the bar has gone silent, and they are, are in rapt attention. He appears to notice this for the first time, and he slams his hands down on the table, and he stands up, and he yells, "What are y'all looking at then? Get out and leave us in peace." And people scatter. They rush out of the room. He looks down. Soon the bar is completely empty. Some of the doors are left open. You can hear the rain and the whooshing of wind coming from inside. He takes the whiskey glass and he knocks the rest of it back. And he turns back towards a collection of you. He says, "You want me to explain my actions? Is that it? Or are you going to execute me now? How's it going to go?"
Suppose it'd help if we have a record of exactly what you've been up to.
A record of my crimes.
And you're
certainly.
welcome. You're welcome to come away in chains if that's what you prefer.
He kind of scoffs to himself. He says, "I'll tell you what, Marshall, I'll tell you what I think is going to happen. I think I'm going to tell you what happened, what I've done. And I think you're going to nod and you're going to leave. Not because I've cast some spell, not because I've tricked you, because you understand. Because I think you'll understand."
That's a tall order.
All right. He steps forward and he begins to talk. But first of all, let's jump away from that once more. Up on the hillside overlooking Castronegro, you have decided to cast a spell, Doc. This is a big deal. Casting spells in Call of Cthulhu, as we all know, is a serious undertaking. What is the name of the spell you are casting?
Summon Starspawn of Cthulhu. I believe.
Exactly. Very, very exciting stuff. Now, I'm going to get the spell up, and obviously there's some mechanical aspects to these spells, but a lot of this is ritual, and a lot of this stuff has its own flavor to it. Everybody might have a different way that they perform magic. Somebody who is particularly occult inspired might light candles, dance about, have music playing. Somebody who is a mad artist or infused with the pleasures of the flesh might take drugs as they do so. A scientist might have a very rigorous mathematical system. You could draw pentagrams. You could do any kind of thing. What do you think Doc's version of this looks like? How does Joseph summon this beast?
Well, he's aware that this needs to take place near water. So I think he slings that satchel over his shoulder, shoves the gun in either a holster he's pulled off someone else's horse or just in the back of his pants. I don't really know what he's got. He's got a gun. And he's gonna slowly walk back over to where that well is. And I think Joseph approaches this very similarly to the way he approaches surgery. He just goes down the list of things that need to be done, and in his mind it is chanting at a place of strong emotion, which, let's be honest now, I think Griff was a little emotional near water, and he just keeps the things in his head that need to be true, and he allows those things in his mind to exist like you would a candle or a pentagram. I think Joseph essentially is like, look, it's really nice that people use candles and pentagrams, but I don't need that. What you need is words and intent, and that's kind of all he's ever used. Outside, obviously, tools, but tools are tools. It's intent that matters for him.
Absolutely. You begin the spell, and it is difficult to describe because such workings are difficult to describe. The tools don't matter as much as the methodology, and even in the process of preparing, you are working magic into the air around you. You're going to need, first of all, because this is the first casting of the spell, to make for me a power check. Oh, an extreme success. You could not ask for much better. Everything goes perfectly. You've rehearsed this moment in your head 1,000 times.
Can I contradict you? Is that allowed?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
I don't think Joseph has. I think Joseph turns inwards, keeping all of these things in at the back of his head, and he sees that little Stygian cloud of black and goes, "You want to help me with this one?" And is just going to kind of let it talk through, because I think he knows that it knows what's happening. And he's like, go on, just make the words. So he sort of just lets it through.
Absolutely. I love it.
I don't think Joseph was planning this less than 24 hours ago. So, yeah, this is very much he's intelligent. He has a photogenic memory, and well, maybe not true photogenic, but he retains a lot of stuff. I think this is just rigor.
It's just some things just happen. Sometimes you don't have to have everything in plan, but sometimes all the same things go right, as if they were fated to occur. I would like you to, for me, take 1d4 points of sanity loss immediately. That is a given. One? Okay, fantastic. And I would also like you to tell me, keep track of your sanity, because although your character is becoming insane, so to speak, sanity loss will be important because we may apply additional effects and it may precipitate certain conditions.
Are we starting again from daily, or did last?
No, this is the same day. So if last sessions can still apply, that would be fantastic.
Well, I think I only lost one last session, so that's 2.
Okay.
give or take.
Brilliant. So one slight revision, this is the contact Starspawn spell, which is, although it might sound like it is less powerful than the summon, it is actually far better because not only do you just pull one into existence, you have the option of having some kind of parlay with them. And it has some additional power. You're going to have to reduce your magic points by 6 magic points. So you lose 6 magic points.
Oh no, I am down to half.
Yes, no, which means you've still got 1 cast left in you.
Before I
works out
die?
very well.
Like,
Bring him a friend.
never mind, it's fine.
Exactly.
I
So
assume one or more will show up depending on how big they are and essentially plot.
your mind is taken back to the Spanish fort where you saw kneeling before the deep dark water Elijah Smythe, and you saw the water begin to bubble. Below you, the stream that you saw begins to bubble and writhe and boil. What starts, as just heating eventually becomes difficult to stand near as steam pours up from it, almost scalding at your skin. You're so close by, and you start to chant in an old and unknown language as you go, and your magic is weaved through the steam, and suddenly the light from the moon, which is reflected through the raindrops and through the steam, begins to flicker, and you can see there's something in the steam. There's something there, and the only thing it's hard to describe, so your mind thinks tentacles because that's all you can really think. That's the only way you could possibly describe it. But for flavor's sake, do you want to do your best at describing a terrible, eldritch, unknown creature, something from beyond our world and beyond any other? What do you think a spawn of Cthulhu looks like?
I mean, I hate to be this person, but Mansions of Madness has models of Starspawn of Cthulhu that you just put on the board and they waddle around like giant tentacled frogs with wings, which is not really that exciting. So I'm going to go with probably the same general concept. It's like a 4-legged, crouchy, tentacled with wings, kind of leathery looking, but its eyes are pits into space and time. Like it's like twinkling of stars as you just look into an endless abyss of either the future or the past, or box galaxy, box universe theory holds true. The same at the same time. Both, all of it. Because there's no such thing as time.
It is a completely alien thing to behold. You'd say unholy, but there's no such thing as such, minor aspects when you behold something like this. I need you to make another sanity check as you behold the creature.
Extreme success.
Extreme success. Very well done.
I like the idea that little Stygian cloud is like, you're good. I've got this.
It's chill.
It's kind of like, I'm kind of getting a weird vibe that like this thing and I are sort of almost starting to become one and the same. Like weird shit isn't weeding me out as much as it should because I don't know. There's something that's like I recognize that in the back of my skull.
Absolutely, that's exactly what's happening. You find some kind of peace from beholding this. So you're only going to take 1 point of sanity damage, despite the extreme success, because it is still at least somewhat. Pardon me?
We good?
We good?
I was expecting to lose like a bit, so 1 is cool.
They all lay in stone houses in the great city of Rillier, preserved by the spells of mighty Cthulhu for a glorious resurrection when the stars and the earth might once more be ready. Are the stars and the earth once more ready? Oh, who can really say? But one is here, and you feel an otherworldly presence reach into your mind where it is answered by one that is already there, and you are torn between the whirlwind of two unbearable forces. And as you stand amidst the steam and the rain and the dark, what are you thinking? What are you driving? What are you trying to communicate? Do you say anything?
If it is in my mind, then I will project in my mind. an offer. I'm
What's
going
the
to
offer?
offer it a deal, essentially.
Okay, fantastic.
That is something that I can do with this spell. I do not know how this game.
It's at this stage, you're thinking a thought. So project that thought. What is the deal? What are you thinking at it? What are you?
Aid and protect me until dawn, and in exchange at dawn, the town and everything in it is yours to devour.
Ooh, all right, fantastic. And you can see the steam, the smoke rise. And how exactly does a communication between these things work? It is alien, like you were saying about Mansions of Madness. Every interpretation of the mythos is just that, an interpretation. So who are we to really say how this conversation works, how it sounds? But twisting in your mind, twisting behind your eyes is a thought, an acceptance. A bargain. Well, these creatures don't really bargain, but as you turn away, you can
It's an offering in exchange for assistance. Less bargain, more I present to you this, I ask this in return.
And it's not so much as accepting as following you, but well, it seems to be working for now. And the steam and the smoke and the wicked tentacles begin to drift after you as you move slowly. And where are you going? Into town?
Yes.
Okay. Hell is coming to Castronegro, and the dock is leading it there.
I don't like how you smirked as you said that, and I can't tell what's the doctor and what's art right now, and that is terrifying.
If it helps, Art has gotten out of the way and is just letting Joseph do whatever he needs to do to tell the truth of whatever is going to happen. And I hope that when we get to the end of it, everyone will feel as conflicted as I do internally about the choices that Joseph has made.
We'll see. We'll see. All right, Griff, you start to wake up. You're lying at the bottom of a well. You made it. You're kind of sprawled through, and you can see this long line leading to a starry night in the sky above you. There's water dripping down on all sides of you, and you feel so pleasantly warm and so peaceful. You rise up one hand to your head, and you've got matted blood there. You must have struck your head again. Take another D4 of damage.
Okay, that sounds accurate.
Wait, he injured himself in the sleepy water? Oh no.
Oh, there it is. That's a 4. There we go. That's to help the average of damage.
Oh, you're holding on to your... What is going... It is warm in here. It's not... And you look up and... Where were you?
What was I doing?
Yeah,
and I'm like, and my mouth is really dry, and I go to like, oh, there's water. I'll drink some water because my mouth is really dry, and I bring it to like right near to my lips, and then Griff goes,
No, the water's poison. The water, but that's it. Oh my God, you have to warn people. The town is in danger. Everything is chaos. And suddenly it's not warm. It's unpleasantly hot. And no, it's really, the water is boiling underneath you. And you start to move and you realize there's steam rising up. And you have to get out of here or you're going to cook alive.
Okay, time to get going. I thought it was in my head, but apparently this water is hot.
Wait, question. Only because I think it's going to be amazing if this is true. The water was steaming, yes?
Yeah, here it's not quite steaming yet. There's little bits of maybe steam coming further down that have escaped and drift along the surface of the water, but it's getting hot quick.
If that lovely warm water steam is going to come up out of the well and start interfering with the air.
Yep, better get out quick.
All right, I'm climbing out of this well as best I can.
Okay, fantastic. You start to, throw yourself at the walls. They're rough hewn as you slide your hands across. You reckon maybe there's some handholds that you could grab onto. But Griff, you have climbed many a mountain in this campaign. You're ready for this.
Not particularly well, he hasn't. He's fallen off a lot of mountains.
I think you've fallen off every mountain you climbed, actually. But
climb every mountain, boil every stream.
Oof. Let's do 19 points of luck.
Okay, good.
I'm getting out of it. I do not want to be in this well. This well is a bad place to be. So, I got to crawl up, and then something. One of the things comes loose, but it catches below it, and I managed to work my way up.
You're pulling yourself up as quickly as you can. Your fingers, your nails are almost tearing off as you scramble up, scratching at the rock. And finally, you manage to hit the lip and you roll out and flop into the mud, which is freezing cold. Icy rivulets that drip down all through your body, but it's blessed after the heat. And only a few moments after you lie on the ground, catching your breath, you can see this faint steam start to come out of the well, and it starts to sort of diffuse out and around, leaking out of the very ground.
Okay. I would like to force myself to stand up despite being freezing cold. I'm dripping wet with water. And I walk over to the well and I pull out my big axe and I flip it around so that the blade is facing backwards. And I start to use the front or however I can to try to destroy this well and cave it in as best I can.
There's a wooden structure over the top that kept it shaded. You could smash that down and try and block off this entryway.
Yeah, I want to destroy this well and cave it in as best I can.
Make a strength check.
Yeah, and I have a special skill that a Pulp Cthulhu talent that allows me to take a bonus dice on this.
Absolutely. You're standing back, slamming your foot into it. Give me that strength check with a bonus die.
Yes. Now that looks like an extreme success.
Yeah, and it is.
You don't just crush the wood, you crush the stone. You collapse this entryway, and there is, after a while, there's not even a tiny bit of steam coming out. Maybe a trickle here, but you're getting this. So you move sticks around and you make sure it is completely blocked off. Soon after, you're standing exhausted, your axe blade trailing in the ground as you look through. Mud is all around you. And you turn back and you can see that you're being watched. There are a bunch of people standing in the street, and all of them are staring at you.
Or their water supply.
I'm like, as I sort of mumble to them, like, water's bad. Been poisoned. Don't drink water.
You mutter at all of them. Can you make a power check for me?
Yeah, I'll make a power check.
Ooh,
that's a success, if but a basic one.
The people don't seem to react. You feel for a moment, maybe I've walked into something bad here. Maybe this is a bunch of creepy townspeople all staying still. But then you blink a few times. No, these people aren't really here. You blink a few more times and they seem to drift and kind of fade away like shadows. When you open your eyes again and stare, you realize that you recognize these people. These are people from your past. These are the people that Elijah Smythe killed. And they're just there for a second, standing as if they were ghosts, phantoms, or something like that, in the middle of the town, all staring at you, all watching. And then as you blink, they fade away.
Oh, I won't let it happen again. I'm sorry. I couldn't protect you, but I won't let it happen again. It's not going to happen again. And I start to get louder and louder as I yell at them. I'm sorry.
Continue to fade away one by one, except for one that stays behind. Can you tell me one character, one person who you were particularly attached to?
Yeah, I think he was my closest friend in that village, and Griff is not invincible. He would have been caught out on occasion, and probably the catalyst that drove him to the friendship with these people was the kindness that this man showed him and he was the healer of the village or whatnot. He took me in and got me back on my feet. And ever since then, they're the only people I'd even consider close to friends, apart from present company, except.
Of course. You stand there kind of looking at the figure for a while, who stays while the others fade. Then he walks forward for a while and continues towards you, stands in front of you for a second, and then walks through you like a ghost. And you feel like a faint shiver come over you. I want to ask you a question. When you were going up to the mountain with Elijah Smythe, you were given a collection of tokens, charms. But do you still have yours?
I don't. I would have kept mine pretty close to me. Yeah.
In which case, you feel it become burning hot on your chest for a second. I'm assuming you're still wearing it, on your clothes. It's in one of your breast pockets, burning hot. But then it cools quite suddenly. You look around, and every now and again, you think you can almost see one of them peeking through the rain, but they're not. They're not omnipresent. You turn about. The town is deserted as far as you can see, but the storm is so bad that that's probably just people going into their homes. You glance around, you can see this bizarre church that you spotted earlier. You can see a general store. You can see what looks like a saloon. Where do you want to go?
Can I ask, do these, I hate to use the word ghosts, but spirits or whatever is haunting me, are they trying to tell me something? Can I make a roll to discern that? I guess it
make
would
a
be
psychology test.
Yeah, I'm famously really good at psychology. Sorry, give me 1 second. Psychology. No, in fact, I probably yell that at them. Are you trying to tell me something? I don't know what you're trying to say. I can't hear you. I don't follow.
They say nothing, and no peace comes over you. When you glance around desperately, you see out towards the direction you came. It looks like there's shimmering light, that is approaching from the distance, as if a wagon was coming into town. You remember the dock's drawing close. You have to act fast.
God. All right. I make my way towards the saloon.
Fantastic. Inside the saloon, Grease and Mac, you were staring at Christopher. This is the man who, presumably, every single issue that you have faced in this campaign was a direct result of him or fed down from him in some way. Grease, you have your gun. If you want to shoot, I want you to say, I shoot him.
Mm-hmm.
Are you tempted?
Not yet. I don't feel like we're at a disadvantage.
Fair enough. What about you, Mac?
Well, I just want to know what his crimes are, so I can justify it to myself when I walk out of here. If anything, it's gonna be easier for me if he makes us shoot him. So that's what I'm waiting for.
He steps forward towards the bar and pours himself another whiskey, waters it down with more water from the well, and drinks. Puts the glass down, pushes it away, leans forward. I'm old. I'm older than you, but I'm older than people. Most people. No surprise to you by now, I'm sure. With what you've seen, you know that age can be evaded. There are people who walk this earth, things that walk this earth that are very, very old. I dedicated my life to finding heretics. Not run-of-the-mill heretics, not people who spoke out and said the wrong thing somewhere, true heretics. People like the ones that you went to find, doing things all throughout my home. I hunted them. I hunted them across the world. They came from the old lands. They came to here, fleeing, and I chased them. I chased them on boats. I hunted them across this strange new world that I understood nothing of. I came here. I found them at last, after so long, and I killed them. I did what you did. But I found that I wasn't the first to have done this. They were hunters too. And they, in their land, had hunted something. They'd hunted people who had come here, they'd come to Spain fleeing people hunting them. And then they'd caught the people in Spain, they'd lived there for years, and then I'd found them. A long cycle, a vicious cycle. And that's because he reaches up and he scratches at his eye. There's something here in me, inside the church, inside Castronegro, something old and something terrible, and it has to be contained. If it is not contained, put quite simply, the world will end. A horror unlike any you can imagine. Somebody has to keep it in check. somebody has to be alive to do it. And the task of doing it, it is a dark. It twists your mind. It makes you forget things like mercy, things like hope. It makes you forget everything you held dear. You look frantically for a way to keep it at bay for good. You don't care if you're sending people to your death as long as they hand you a tiny bit of knowledge, something that might help you keep the true horror at bay for just a little longer. Just a little longer. You can kill me, but you'll have to take over that burden.
It's a mighty compelling story. Doesn't tell much about how you got the Green-Eyed Gang mixed up in all this.
Green-Eyed Gangs. Well, that's quite simple, really. People who come my way, people who come out to Castronegro, and people who fall within my sphere of influence, they are people who are on the run so far from society, so far from safety that they can hardly be saved. I give them some kind of purpose. I expose them to a power that perhaps, if they learn to master it, might keep them alive and give them some kind of protection. All I ask in return is they share that knowledge with me. Sometimes they don't even need to. Like I said, I'm a smart man. I can find out most of what I need by watching the fruits of their labor. Green-Eyed Gang means nothing. They weren't the first. They won't be the last, one way or another.
So what exactly is it that you got in that church? I mean, what's the nature of the beast?
It's a being. Its name is impossible to pronounce. You should refer to it as the opener of the way, if you so desire.
Right, and you got it parked in your church.
Do you want to see?
No, I don't. Not particularly. So, and then the Green-Eyed Gang and the commands that you gave to them didn't have a purpose? You weren't trying to find information so that you could continue to save people and control this demon? It was just willy-nilly?
No, that's exactly what it was. He kind of laughs to himself, shakes his head. Although he does seem a little off. Can you both make a psychology test for me?
I mean, I can try, but I ain't real.
I cannot.
Okay. All right.
Oh, 13 points.
No? You want 13 points of luck?
It's a fine number.
Something's off about him, but you can't exactly place what it is. Oh, what could it possibly be? He kind of snorts to himself, leans heavily on the bar. He says, I sent them away because, like I've sent so many others away, to try and find anything, to try and find any one note, because we have to find some kind of way to contain this thing. What I am saying is that their lives did not mean anything. All that they were tools accomplishing something. Does that make sense? They've done it before. There will be others. What have you found out on the way? Do you know how to stop it?
Don't know exactly what it is.
Well, neither do I.
But the fact that you're being here is causing other people to die. And they can see that's a cause for concern.
He kind of laughs once more. He says, come into my church. He hiccups and kind of slumps forward. You know, I will show you. I will show you that my lad. He falls over and collapses on the bar and slams onto the ground. He starts convulsing, and you can see his eye flicker as the green shines brighter. All right.
All right.
Let me roll him over and do some first aid to see what's wrong with him.
Okay. You dive forward, make a first aid check.
As Jackson, as Max flicking him over, I say, wasn't Doc going to wait until we got back to spark the well?
Yeah, but I reckon he's got plans of his own by this point.
Hell, man, he was just starting to talk. Y'all stay here. I'm going to stick my nose outside, make sure no one else is coming.
Now, you start to walk outside, and you can see you can see that the seizure is getting worse. For a second, the body continues to flail and twitch, and then looks completely peaceful. A sort of a painless expression falls over Christopher's face, and you can see him start to turn pale. His heart skips a beat as he goes close to death. And as his heart skips a beat, you poke your head out into the street. Grease, you spot, first of all, Griff stumbling forward from the well. And that moment that Christopher almost dies, suddenly the sky above you illuminates, fracturing, breaking apart in a million colors as a vortex of light shines from above. The same incredible, terrifying sight that you saw when you were riding over here, Griff, so long ago. For a split second, the walls and the only thing that's holding back the opener of the way breaks apart. There is only chaos. The two of you need to immediately make for me sanity checks. As you stand below the town, you can see the swirling nebulae of a distant alternate world. Not even world, something beyond even what we can imagine.
That was pretty
Okay,
good.
with 2 successes, that was lucky because you both are going to lose a d6 of sanity.
Oof. This is bad. This is bad news.
Even for an extreme?
One off a
For
critical.
technically, sanity doesn't have
Levels of
a
success.
mechanical difference.
And I respect that.
All right, so 2 of you. Oh,
The GM, the keeper wanted to send us insane, but we
Wanted
keep
to.
rolling ones.
I mean, you can always just tack a +1 onto that. I'm pretty sure, or +2, and then something.
Tis not the Cthulhu way.
I want to stick my nose out and Griff and look up and I go, Griff, sky's falling. Get inside.
So it is. The dog. I rush inside so I don't have to say it twice.
I close the door in behind him. Yeah, good call.
You tear inside, arriving in the midst of the saloon, where you can see this old man lying on the ground, slowly breathing his last breaths. At the edge of the town, Doc, drenched with rain, this perfect specter in the night with black eyes, holding the few things that you brought with you, and surrounded by this mist, you come into the town, and you can see the small few shutters that are, still lit inside the buildings pull shut as terror strides into Castronegro. We're going to take a break here. We're going to get back to you all. It's going to be fun. See you soon.
It's gonna be something.
Welcome back, everybody. This is the Stream of Chaos, the second half of the final episode. We are in Castronegro, the Doctor, guarded by a starspawn of Cthulhu in the form of mist and dark tentacles, is drifting into the town, ready to cleanse it. Meanwhile, trapped inside a nearby saloon, Griff, Grease, and Mac surround the dying body of Christopher as he shudders, shakes, and with his death, the sky threatens to split open and an ancient evil be unleashed. Let's jump in. Griff, Grease, the two of you stagger back inside the saloon, soaking wet even just after a moment out in the rain.
Great.
You can see Mac standing over the body. What are you doing?
Where's the
I
dog?
can't
This
remember.
man's gonna die.
Did I get anything from my first aid check? I heard it just say breathe his last. I don't know if he's.
Did you fail? You failed your first aid
No,
check.
he's-
I
spent
gave,
10
I gave you
luck.
10 points of luck.
Oh, 10 points of luck. Okay,
Yeah.
in which case you managed to basically clear his throat enough that he isn't dead, but he is, and he's, choking. In fact, you're having a kind of, it would be a peaceful slipping into the night, but you are striking this man. You are forcing him to stay awake, shaking him. You're not going to let him die. He's not just yet.
Right.
If it at all matters, I can tell you how this stuff works.
Please go ahead.
So for everyone who wasn't in the Jamie and I chat, this
I
stuff.
think that's everyone but Jamie and you.
No, some of the viewers were there.
Yeah. This is a soporific. That is essentially a lethal dose of anesthetic. So it's not so much that is like he's gonna stop breathing because he's like choking. It's his heart is going to stop beating because his system is so depressed. None of his muscles are going to function because there's no electricity passing from his brain to any of his nervous systems. Like it's literally a full system shutdown. It's a lethal injection in.
Very
Yeah.
cool. That's fucked.
It is
Yeah, it was the nicest way. I mean, I wasn't lying. No one is going to get hurt. Like, no one's going to be in pain. They're just going to go to sleep and not wake up.
I yelled to Griff, where's the doc?
The dog's gone crazy. He's trying to poison the whole village.
Oh, damn. Mac and I have we thought something like this might be going to happen, but thought we had a bit more time yet. All right, well, where are they? What happened?
He was gonna poison the well, but I jumped into it and I climbed my way up, and I think he did it anyway. I think he. Look, I destroyed the well. Anyway, the doc's. I don't think the doc's gonna stop there. I think he's gonna keep going. What?
Well, what's he gonna do? He ain't that good a shot, and he's pretty weighty. I mean, that's probably the last trick up his sleeve. He's probably gonna.
I think there may be something with explosives and fireworks involved, and a package of that aerosol stuff.
I suppose we left the cannon behind. All right. Well,
He
I
wouldn't.
think we.
Is that Christopher?
It is.
That's him.
He had more to say than we thought he did. Look, let's take him up to the church. Get as many people up there as you can as well. I don't think anyone here is going to hurt us.
Well, hang on.
So
Before we go up, Griff, what's up in there? I mean, he's tethered himself to something evil. Some sign of, being from beyond, and he's keeping it here, or so he says. Just keep that in mind as we go in. Be aware. You understand?
I don't really understand what's going on here, but I trust you two. All right. If you're trying to keep him alive now, I thought we came in here to kill him.
We got to find out what's happening.
Turns out he might be on the side of the greater good, despite driving some people insane just by being here. It doesn't matter. We can figure it out later. Let's get some people inside those walls, just in case something comes raining down on top of us.
All right. I guess a church is as good a place to gather folks as any. We ring those bells. I suspect people will come out and come see what's going on.
See if there's a dock in town as well.
All right, the collection of you turn, you start to head towards the door. Outside from the window, you can see the sky is broken open just as you go to step towards it. It is kind of stabling and flickering in and out of being a regular night sky and being a torn and broken mess. Just as Christopher is lingering on the border between life and death. Outside. Sorry, Mac?
I'd like to carry him out.
Yeah, you pick him up.
Get him to the
outside in the streets, people are rushing forward and they are dropping to their knees in the mud. And you see several of them have brought forward, there's some of them are hastily dressed in robes. Others have torn out, only half dressed, but they are carrying sickles in their hands. At least most of them are. Some of them are standing by terrified. The ones with sickles are staring up at the sky and they are holding up their hands and they're pressing the sickles against their arms and slicing and, begging, screaming at the sky, some kind of ritual. But Doc, you fired the cannon?
Yeah, but not for the purposes that I think you think I am.
Oh, okay. All right. So you fired the cannon with your specially modified powder in it, though.
No.
No. Okay.
That is depending on how much of a dramatic entrance you want. That's getting thrown in ahead of me.
Oh, okay, perfect. That is just as fine. In which case, as they are lying down in the middle of the street, you hear one of them yell, "What in the hell?" And people are turning and you are starting to stroll down the main road. Prime Duelist territory. Greece, pay attention. As you are heading forward and this, being is behind you. As you stand forward, do you utter any words? Do you have, or is it just silence? Do you come and why don't you describe yourself coming out of the rain? What does Joseph look like?
Joseph is dressed in a nice, if a little worn, 3-piece suit. He has a gun on his hip, a hip flask on the other, satchel slung over his shoulder, and he's holding a canteen that I think is probably, if not already lit, it is. I'm pretty sure he's like, as he's walked into town, he's lit it. And I think he just looks at the people in robes and the sickles and the self-harm and all of the ritual bullshit and just lobs it straight in the air above as many people as possible.
It arcs through the air into the center of the street and pops, casting powder off in every direction. And the people lying in the street begin to cough and hack frantically. You were saying?
Mine. You know what? Never mind. There is something in the back of my head that I can message you to make sure you're okay with, but I don't think it makes any difference to this.
Are
question.
we,
Sure, okay,
are we
please go
seeing
ahead.
this? Are we?
Yeah, are we in
within-
this scene?
Yeah, so you burst out just in time to see the explosion of white powder go everywhere.
We don't see it arcing.
Let's have a think. I'll tell you what, you're rushing out the door. So you burst out the door. To realize what's going on, to have any chance of acting, I want a dexterity check from those of you who would like to have a chance to interact.
I'll have a go. I mean, I want to
Absolutely.
put a stop to
Mac,
this.
you'll
if I
need to make
can.
yours with disadvantage. You're carrying someone.
Success.
Ooh.
Oof.
I've got an
Oh,
84 and a 94.
Bad luck. I'm
Just
so
off.
sorry. So
No,
Is it-
yeah, that's not much. That's 9 points of luck. You could have that.
okay. In which case, you all
Is a regular
sprint out.
success going to be enough?
Yeah.
Because
So
I'll luck mine down as well. If
so
I can. Oh, sorry. I'll
Very
shut up.
quickly. So you all sprint out. You see this arcing through the sky. You see the dock at the end of the street. You can see the people on the ground, with their sickles raised. You can see the sky broken above you. With a success, you are going to come in as Joseph. Sorry, with a success, you are going to come in a moment before the thing explodes. With a hard success, you are going to come in as Joseph throws it. With an extreme success, you're going to come in as you see Joseph sort of walking into town. Now, upon seeing all of this, you will immediately need to make sanity checks. So you might go insane and be unable to act.
Okay.
So
all
a
of
success is it is in the process of exploding just above the people.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll also make a sanity.
Hey, real good.
Okay. With
What does
successes, all
successes
of you
give
just
us?
lose one.
One.
Oh,
And what's the one for?
Forget-
Seeing Joseph.
Seeing the sky fractured open, seeing the streets littered with cultists slicing at themselves with sickles, and seeing this terrifying monster with, 10.
I will say this is the first time
yeah, I forgot about
Jackson
that
has
thing.
seen the sky being ripped
It is sort of in its halfway state.
open. Okay, all right.
I thought you rolled your
That's
eyes
fine.
at it.
I don't know. Weird that it was in full state a little while ago and now it's in a half state. But
No, that's because you succeeded the first aid
We're
check. You
fixing
managed
it.
to save.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Christopher.
my bad.
If you'd
Okay,
like
okay.
him to have
I'm with you
died,
now.
then we can
Now,
jump
can
to
I
that
kill him
outcome.
and so that Jackson has to roll a full sanity check?
whose side
okay.
are you on?
I don't know.
It's
Griff,
2v2 now.
Griff, are you carrying your big gun?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright.
I've got
Alright.
big gun and thing. It is, however, dripping wet. I don't know if that makes a difference, but it
Okay.
would be.
So remember, if you fail, you're still inside when the explosion happens. Otherwise, you're outside when the explosion happens.
Yeah,
We're all
we're all outside, but the
You're all
explosion goes off.
outside. Okay.
Yep.
So who got more than a success? one.
I got a regular.
All
success.
regular.
All regular successes. So you see the thing about to explode. You can see Doc at the end. This fine figure in a worn, split nice 3-piece suit with black eyes and terrifying steam behind them. You can see all of these people gathered around in the streets. We'll go to Dex order. First to act is Mac.
No, it's me.
Oh yeah, readied weapon. Sorry. Thank you.
I'm gonna. Max got the body. I'm gonna turn to Griff and I'm gonna say, "Pay attention," and then I'll deal with the dog. And I rush forward to stand in front of the doctor.
Okay, so you tear forward. This explosion occurs. All right, Mac, what are you doing?
I'll just be shouting out to everyone in the street that I can see. Cover your mouths. Don't do that. Get inside the fort.
I want an intimidate check.
And you're gonna get one with a bonus die.
That's a good call.
Yeah, just a regular success, unless a hard would help me. You can have
Okay,
some
so
points.
hard will help. Hard will be useful.
Another 9 points coming your way.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with a regular success, people spot you, and most of them go, but a couple of hardcore fanatics see you holding the unconscious or dying body of Christopher and go to rush forward. But seeing your face and the panic and everything, they decide to listen to you and they dart forward. The streets begin to clear slowly.
Are they heading to the fort?
Some of them are headed up to. Some of them are just tearing back into their homes.
That's fair enough.
And
I'm
what about
covering my
yourself?
mouth as best I can as well as I'm heading to the fort.
Absolutely. Okay,
We
excellent.
put on our famous bandanas.
You're heading to the fort, not to the church.
Oh, I thought they were one and the same for some reason.
Nope, two separate. What fort out the sort of like the keep out the back, and there's the cathedral in the center of the town.
Let's do the church.
Okay, fantastic. Now, I'm going to jump back to you in a second, Doc. But Griff, what are you doing?
Far out. I am going to. I'm sorry. I'm going to ignore what Grease said to me, and I'm going to step forward. I'm going to step towards the dock. Yeah, and I'm going to say, I don't think the dock is irredeemable. So I'm going to say, Doc, it ain't what we thought. The town ain't the injury. The town is the bandage. What's in the church is the injury.
All right.
And I think that's all I have time to get out.
And you all step forward and you all begin to yell. You all begin to move. I would like all of you to make a constitution check.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So those of you who failed, if there was a time to push or luck, it may be now. If
7
you
points.
failed, then the chemical will start to affect you, and you will start to die.
It's a hard pass from me.
All right. So hard pass from you. Fantastic.
What's pushing?
Pushing. Okay. So as you are sprinting forward, you basically see this explosion. You see this explosion going to happen, Grease. You're quick. You reckon that you can dart forward and sort of have it be happening behind you. If you fail, you're going to catch it full in the face.
Can he push by running inside somewhere?
Running
And completely like forgoing his influence in this.
That's fine. Yeah, if you would like to remove your ability to act, you can dive into a building.
I will spend 26 points of luck.
Okay. All right. The luck begins to burn away. So those of you who you're coughing and spluttering. Now you're not immune to this thing, and it is spreading throughout the air, but you have avoided it for a second. Joseph, you meanwhile are stepping forward. You can see the rain, you can see the destroyed well, and you can see people. So many of them. Griff saw the people from the town that he used to live in or live near, the people that Elijah Smythe killed. But you see everyone you've treated. This town is full of people, ghostly figures, and they shimmer and they drift and they watch. And you're stepping forward and watching as they flicker in and out of existence just for a second. The very rules of reality are warping and bending below this shattered sky. What emotion slips over Doc's face, or is there none?
I mean, there might be guilt if it hadn't been taken away. But I think at this point, Doc is very hard to read. Mainly because I don't think he's entirely human anymore.
I was going to ask that exact question. My next question was going to be, do you think Doc is still human? Because a human would have to make a constitution check. But you said just the right thing, and you do not.
Well, also, if it helps, Doc has prepared. I said 2 vials. One of those was smelling salts. He will have a bandana on if necessary.
Okay.
The other one was cocaine.
Okay.
Literally got stimulants in his system to counteract this for as long as possible.
You are well prepared.
I'm not going to contradict Griff and say he's irredeemable, but I would argue at the moment whatever is in the back of his head.
I'm seeing like strange colored eyes, gravelly, dead, determined, hopped up on drugs. I'm getting some Geralt of Rivia vibes, if I may say so.
Also, Griff is known to be wrong a lot. Like, I'm not a smart guy. I feel like he believes that the Doc is beyond safe. He's not beyond, but he's probably wrong.
Hold on to that.
Fantastic. So, Doc, as you step forward, what are you going to be trying to do? What are you going to be saying? You can hear Griff yelling to you.
Why?
Rain is pounding down. Grease and Griff, the two of you are now standing facing the dock. Mac is shepherding people. The two of you find yourself facing this familiar figure who is, changed, not so much familiar anymore. Doc, as you look across the collection of them, you can see their eyes from here. Their eyes, and in their eyes, you can see a reflection of yourself for a second. It is dead-eyed and dark, but then for a second, it's not, and it's screaming at you. It's yelling. It's moving. It's almost pressing itself against the reflective surface of their pupils, and then it's gone, and it's just you again. All three of you can act. All three of you can say something. All three of you can do anything at this point.
I think at this point, Griff gives up, and he'll call out to Grace. He'll say, "We can't be out here. We got to get in the church."
Do you see that thing that's in the dark shadow? That's a problem.
It's a problem.
Unless I say it is a problem.
Doc, do you realize what you've done here? I mean, these people ain't innocent, but they don't deserve this.
They are not innocent, and even if you could be sure of that, which you can't, I am not willing to take the risk and let the rot fester.
Doc, I said they ain't innocent. We know they're bad people. I'm saying they don't deserve what you're doing to them. They've been led astray. I mean, what they're doing here is wrong, but they got a reason for it. You don't understand what's happening yet. None of us do. That's why we needed to come in and see what's going on first. Need to call that thing off.
It ain't doing anything.
I'll make sure it stays that way.
Why don't you explain what is going on?
There's something sleeping underneath this town. Christopher's doing his best to keep under control. That's all we want right now, status quo, till we figure out what to do next.
I'm gonna talk to the thing.
The thing that's behind you or the thing inside your head?
Both. It's kind of the same to Joseph at this point. And is going to say inside his own mind, "Can you close it?"
Can you close it?
Can you seal it? I think is more the question he's asking. The thing he has, can you seal it?
You see for a second. The best picture I have is when one of the characters from Lord of the Rings reaches out for the ring and has a moment of as they're hit by 1,000 things at once. You see images. You see giant, tall, black stone buildings that dominate a skyline. You see broken apart shadows and cities on a planet that you've never seen before. You see your father, and you hear a voice in your head shout, "Father!" And then for a second, you see a field of 1,000,000,000,000 eyes glancing at you, blinking, popping, drifting, and melding together. The answer is, it is sealed for now. It can be sealed again. But for it to be sealed, you see yourself crouched inside what looks like a cave. There's glass or water or diamond or something that shines surrounding you, and you're held together, curled up in a ball, and you've been trapped here in agony forever. And you have only a moment of that thought, but it feels like an eternity. You need to make a sanity check. The answer is yes, but it's a complicated answer. With a failure, you want to spend 6 points of luck?
You cannot for sanity rolls.
Oh, yes, of course. Thank you. In which case, you'll take a D4 of sanity loss. 4 sanity loss.
I will spend. That's not an issue yet, is it?
It's
No, I
5.
think you're still good.
That's cool. Then I will take.
Hold off for the time being. Brilliant.
Cool.
You've spoken to the thing. The rest of you see this. You see Joseph kind of still mutter something, and it comes out in Narcal because, of course, it does. Strange hissing, and then you hear a hissing response from the creature behind. Silence.
Doc, what you're doing here is wrong. You gotta see that. I mean, this is genocide against these folk and what they're doing. I mean, Griff, you've seen things like this before. This is wrong. No good can come from it. Call that thing off. Let it go. We can solve this, the 4 of us, like we've solved everything else. We don't need that thing's help. We don't need whatever's behind your eyes' help. Please, Doc.
Do you understand what I do for a living, Grease?
Yeah, you're a doctor. You help people.
No, I don't. I hurt people in the hopes of making them better. This is going to hurt, but it is all in aid of making things better. Trying to save everyone else from whatever is happening here. This has gone on too long. It is too deep. There is a cycle that needs to be broken.
You're tampering with things you don't understand in an attempt to solve a problem you don't fully grasp. Christopher, over there, I mean, Mac's holding him. He tore himself asunder trying to stop whatever this thing was, and he did dark things. It's what drew us here. If you do the same thing, you're going to end up just like he did. There's a way to handle this. I know there is. I have to believe that there is.
So do I, Grace. So do I. We are on the same side. We just disagree about how this is meant to be done.
Grease swallows and takes one step forward, runs his forearm and elbow across his nose and eyes to clear away the tears, and then unclicks the button that covers his pistol in the holster. He says,
no.
Doc, you unsummon that now. You let it go, or we can call this, or else you're going to have to kill me, because I ain't letting you past.
You
No.
don't have to kill me, but I can't let it go. It doesn't work like that.
Doc, call it off. 3.
I'll ask it to move away as
2.
much as possible.
All right. So,
I'm not. I do not believe, based on the spell, I can unsummon it. I am asking it to disappear into the night, knowing I can still contact
okay,
it, essentially,
fantastic.
but doing what makes my friends comfortable.
So, a lot will happen at once as the rain pours down. First, Mac. Christopher gives a great shuddering breath and then sags again, and you feel him go completely limp. He is dying. You can't hold him. You have to make a decision. If you want to stay here, you're going to have to start performing first aid. You're going to have to do something. Otherwise, you are tearing towards the cathedral by yourself. Maybe people will follow later. Maybe you won't. Maybe there'll be nothing in there. Maybe there'll be a lot of people with sickles who are about to cut you into pieces. What are you going to do?
I'm inclined to keep Christopher alive. as long as possible. If I'm getting the impression that the
Someone's gotta.
this guy is staying in one piece only as long as he's breathing, then he better keep breathing.
Okay.
And if I can flag down some townsfolk to get a doctor over here,
All right.
then that's even better.
But you're going to have to sprint away from this confrontation. Unless you're literally dropping in where you are and starting to do, chest compressions or something.
I think that's what I'll have to do.
All right, fantastic.
And if that's in full insight of Joseph, even
you can
better.
do everything sort of explodes into movement at once here. So never fear. You drop Christopher to the ground. You start to do your chest compressions as quickly as you can. You're going to get you to make a first aid roll. Won't get you to make it right now. Griff, you had something you wanted to say.
Oh, I wanted to say that I think once before, Grease has done a countdown in preparation to shoot someone. And once before, Griff has beaten him to the draw. If I can, while he's engaged in conversation and begins the countdown, can I roll a stealth to just be fading into the background and drawing my weapon?
Absolutely. Make that stealth first of all.
Yeah, okay, let's see how successful I am.
All right, so you began to drift back straight away. You've got the weapon out. You're beginning to slowly and secretly raise it. Grease, we're going to come to you in just a second, but first, Doc, you have so much that is going through your mind right now. What you do, you hurt people. You're right, and you have suffered so much. You have given so much to others just to try and help, and all the things that they should thank you for, they never do, and all the things that, well, it's too much. It really is, and well, at least you try to know. You're going to do what makes your friends comfortable. You're going to do as best you can, and you think towards the creature, and you think, draw back. Go away, Now, I want to ask you a
message, by the way.
Oh, excellent. Good to hear. I want to ask you, do you think that you have the ability to basically dismiss this creature entirely? Or are you just telling it to draw back a little bit? I've got your message. All good. But tell me, do you think that you're telling it to leave? Or do you think you're telling it to just draw back slightly?
I'm telling it to move, I want it to move out of the town gates and essentially move out of sight.
Yep.
Because I don't know in my heart of hearts if dismissing this thing
yep.
will essentially the bargain was struck. And at this point, it's I don't know if dismissing it is going to stop that from happening. Also, if I just dismiss it now, will that just make it do the thing immediately, which obviously we don't want right this second.
Yep.
So it's more just go somewhere where they're not going to feel threatened by you.
Before you get to 3, Griff, Grease, before you shoot Griff, you see the doc raise their hand and the creature begins to move. Very quickly, I want to tell me if the two of you are relaxing, even slightly. No? In which case, the creature begins to move, and as it drifts for a second, you can see the doc, as they twist, their coat pocket slides open slightly. You have your flask with you, do you not, Doc?
I do.
In which case, you can see it gleaming just for a split second. And if it's not the flask, it's the eyes. In a reflective circuit surface nearby, perhaps in Doc's spectacles, for a split second, you all see the Doc staring at you without black eyes this time. And they scream at you, run! And then the creature attacks and it leaps forward. And we will jump directly into dexterity order. As everything breaks into chaos, the sky flashes again. And finally, we see the showdown we've been waiting for. So, first to act is Grease.
I shoot the creature.
Did you need a first aid check from me?
I did, yes,
that?
thank you.
Or after?
No, give me a first aid check.
Oh,
hard
my.
success. The
Oh.
sky is holding. Is
I'll
being
tell you
held-
what, that's super necessary. That's gonna
yeah,
be really
very
good.
important.
Is an extreme any good for me? Out of
Yeah, look, an
curiosity?
extreme will be good if you could. You're desperately trying to save, Christopher for as long as you can. I'll tell you what, if you get an extreme, he might get a word out towards you.
All right, 10 points of luck for you in exchange for one word.
Okay,
Good deal.
He manages to croak to you beneath,
Beneath the church.
and he's slipping away. You're slapping him. You're trying everything you can to bring him back. Grease, it is your turn. It is your turn first. You can see the doc in front of you, black eyes, standing tall, desperate to hurt people one more time just so they can help.
Okie dokie. I scream so hard my face goes red and the veins pulse in my neck. Draw my gun faster than you can imagine. Doc, would you like to attempt to dodge and impose disadvantage as I try and shoot you in the face?
If you attempt to dodge, it will take your turn. Bear in mind.
No.
All right.
All right, you stand perfectly still as the bullet fires out.
I shoot.
All right.
And I will spend
Oh.
23 points of luck to make that an
Oh.
extreme.
Okay, you spin up and you fire. Bang! A bullet flies out. Now, if we're spending luck, then of course, Doc can spend luck too.
Mhm.
Doc, would you like to spend any luck to try and negate this? Do you have anything in place?
I don't know what the rules are, but yes, I will absolutely spend
Okay,
luck.
so if you have over 30 luck, then you can spend all your remaining luck to immediately avoid death. So that sort of saves your life. Otherwise, I believe that there is an additional rule to halve damage.
There's
but
one
I
that's
think
like, it doesn't look as bad as it is, where you immediately heal a d6, but I don't think that's
Oh, that's right. This is
I don't think that's
this is going to
stopping
be what's your damage going to be on this?
22
damage.
points.
Ooh, wow. Okay, so this
Can
is
I
a powerful
halve
shot.
that?
Sorry.
Can I halve? Oh, sorry. How does it work?
So you can either, unfortunately, so the mechanically the rules are you can basically cancel the whole thing, but it costs the rest of your luck. Otherwise, but never fear, if you've got some pretty badass powers on your side at this point. I wouldn't panic too much about being immediately slain if that's what you're worried about. Although the last human vestiges of Doc may depart.
So you can spend.
As I said at the beginning of this session, either someone was going to kill Joseph or Joseph was going to kill Joseph, because in case anyone was wondering, that flask is filled with pure laudanum and the last dose of the sleeping poison. So I think he just lets it happen.
You stand,
And
you
whatever
watch this
happens
thing
at this
launch
point.
forward, and you know that this is the vaccination, the inoculation has been sent. You raise your hands, you look out. There's rain pouring down all around you. You think for a second of the journey that's taken you here, all across the frontier. It hasn't rained very often in that time. As you look around across the faces of your friends and the faces of the shimmering people in the background, the people you've treated, can you tell me a last thought that drifts through Joseph's mind, a last lucid thought?
Peace.
All right. Your body snaps backwards and you see the sky, and it is just the sky. It's not broken apart yet at the minute. And you can see rain, and you can see your vision begin to cloud over to darkness, and the faces of the people around fade away. You're left alone. You're left in calm, and you're left in peace. And everything goes dark. At last, you can sleep. Doc's head snaps backwards as Grease holds out his gun and is screaming. His face is beetroot red, and you can see the pain in his eyes. His veins are bulging. He's yelling. He's trembling. And he's squeezed off this perfect shot. One that, will go down in all the comic books. But hell, if only it didn't have to happen. Around you, Grease, you can see the people you've killed flickering in and out. You can see the woman from the Scanlan Ranch. You can see the world is all drifting, and your mind is broken apart with fragmented images. You see Jim Owens for a second. You remember how when you shot Jim Owens' head snapped backwards. And then in just the same way, Doc's head creeps back up, and dark, black, hideous tar begins to sweep across his face as he stands forward, leaning further and further up, and this unknowable, unholy narcal screech comes from his body as it twists and steps forward, continuing to move, charging. Mac, it's your turn.
Oh, does it have to be
Christopher looks stable for the time being.
stable? I can stop for a moment.
You can stop for a moment.
All right.
The misted tentacled creature is launching forward at top speed.
I guess if it's coming in my direction, I might have to shoot it.
I think they're both looking at Grease, I reckon.
It's coming in Greece's direction. Yeah, be fine. Forget about it. I'm gonna get into the church. I think Greece was quite concerned about the church or what was below the church.
Yeah,
Someone's
going to keep this plot on, or yeah.
Or keep the world from ending is more.
Yeah.
If I can still get Christopher inside the church, then I'll have a go at that.
Absolutely. You bend down, you pick up Christopher, and you haul him as best as you can, your old muscles launching into action. You flip him over your shoulder, and you begin to tear through the town. Around you, there is, chaos. You can hear screaming, yelling. The spirits that were standing by are now no longer silent. They're beginning to howl, and they're beginning to yell as well. And as you tear across the town, your boots slapping in the mud, kicking up, you spot for a second, standing by the well, his feet drifting slightly off the ground, Hank Hannaretti, twisting with his eyes bulging, hung the way you left him. And he watches as if he was twisting on a rope as you sprint past, heading as quickly as you can for the church. You've got to get there. You've got to get inside. You can see up above the figure with no face and this great sickle in one hand, looming high as you run towards the cathedral doors. What's going through your head, Mac?
Heck, one thing at a time.
One thing at a time.
One
That's all
thing
you can
at a
do.
time.
You slip through the doors, and when you step inside, a couple of people have sprinted in here, and they're cowering in the corners, and they are looking around as if they can see their own haunted images. Their eyes frantically dance from one side of the room to the other as they yell and they cry and they cut sickles to them. You step forward into the church, and it's remarkably boring. I mean, it just occurs to you, a church like any other. Well, they can only make so many of them, you suppose. Beneath. The body in your arms continues to cry out as you sprint forward. You can see an altar ahead of you. The altar has a sickle placed upon it. You can see areas of the priest's quarters. Make a spot hidden to see if you spot the path beneath.
Come on.
You can have plenty of luck for this.
Ooh, you'll need it.
21 points.
Do you have 21 points?
I've got 51.
Okay.
So if I spend this,
you're on
I am
exactly
at my,
30, which
I'm
is
at
exactly
30,
enough.
which is what I need to survive death. So yes, I think I'd like to find the path.
Okay. Just frantically looking around. Where beneath the altar. You sprint forward and you grab it and you pull the thing to the side. It is heavy, enormously heavy. Make a strength check.
Ooh, that I'm not so good at.
Oh,
extreme!
You fucking
muscles
beauty!
Bulging. Tear this thing up, move it, push it, and throw it sideways. You grab Christopher, and you can see a spiral staircase of stone leading beneath. You start to run further and further down, heading and descending into the dark. Now we jump across to the thing that once was Doc, the thing that once was Joseph. It stumbles forward, bent back, and its head snaps up. It continues to screech with this otherworldly fury, and it is going to launch itself towards you. Grease. It is sprinting forward. I want you to make for me a dodge check as this thing's hands launch towards you and begin to rip and tear.
I would love
Furious.
nothing more than to give you a dodge check.
All right, you fire, and then fling yourself to the side. Everything you do is perfect now. A training, a mastery that you didn't have at the start when you were just a child, now kicking in perfectly as you weave out of the way. This thing launches forward and you can see the same black tar as when Jim Owens attacked you, firing out. It tries to swing around and claw you, but that was like when the serpent people hit and you duck underneath it. You know every move these things make and you answer it like a perfect dance, avoiding. Griff, what's your dexterity?
Real low. 35.
35. All right. The Star Spawn of Cthulhu goes first. It spins towards you and
The
you see
what?
mist and darkness. You know this thing. You put it to sleep before. It wanted you to let it out and you betrayed it. It remembers you from back up at the hill fort. You left it there and it wants revenge. It darts forward at top speed and you see these swinging tentacles, this bulbous, tendrily thing launching itself towards you at top speed. Would you like to make a dodge or a riposte check?
I don't think I can. I don't have anything to riposte with.
You're not holding your axe anymore?
But
Yeah,
I'm
just
holding
gun
my
out.
gun. I intentionally drew my gun before this fight. I could dodge, can't I? I can just dodge anytime. It doesn't cost me an action.
Absolutely.
I'll have a go. Again, 35 dex. You can imagine what my dodge is. But I'll have a go.
17,
Okay.
maybe?
Wait, dodge doesn't take your action? I thought it did.
It
when you
does if
dodge a
it's
bullet.
against a bullet.
The
Yeah,
firearms.
but against a single strike,
Diving for
it does not. So as you stare forward at this thing launching towards you, you try to dodge. Would you like to luck it?
No, I can't.
All right.
Even if I wanted to.
Cool. So the first strike slides above your head, misses you by a hair, but don't worry, it's got 3 more. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
There we go.
Dodge another. Dodge a third, but then the fourth one comes up and slams in towards you, and you can see the tentacle. It's not trying to pierce you. There's a mouth at the end of it. It's trying to eat you. Where does it get you?
I reckon a dodge. It gets me right in the ribs, like under my arm, as I'm trying to dodge it. I hold my thing up and I shoot right under there.
You feel a horrible pain shoot through you as your ribs begin to crunch inwards, and this horrible cry comes out. Your eyes flash back to the moment that you were standing in front of Elijah Smythe, and you almost saw this thing rising up. You know your eyes aren't flashing back. Elijah Smythe is there. He's in front of you. He's flickered in like everybody else, and he's staring and he's watching. And what expression do you think you read on his face?
I reckon he's pretty pleased with himself. Seeing me suffer is making him pretty happy.
Wicked smile twisting over him, one that infuriates you all the more. You take 10 points of damage as this thing crunches into your ribs. You feel one of them break and snap. One of 4 attacks dealt 10 damage as it drives you to the ground and almost crushes you completely. This thing rising up in the air, roaring. Now that you can see it in its full form, its full glory, those of you that remain here who aren't mythos creatures need to make some sanity rolls for me.
Oh,
Okay. All right.
Heliod determination from Griff.
Grease, a D4, just 1 from Griff.
I'm panicking. Oh, okay, never mind.
Oh, fantastic. Doc, on your turn, you're somewhere. You can feel the ground beneath your feet, but it's not normal. And you look around, you're inside the town again, and you're surrounded by hundreds and hundreds of other people, and they look so real to you, far more real than the fragmented figures that you know are your friends and real people dancing around. There's not just people you know here. There's people from 100 years, centuries of death and disaster inside this town. You can see old conquistadors. You can see people who lived here thousands of years ago, hundreds of thousands of years ago. Watch as your mind kind of warps seeing all of that. And then You have somewhere you need to be, don't you? You're going somewhere. Where are you going?
Get beneath.
You turn towards the church. You start to walk, dragging yourself forward bit by bit by bit. You pass Hank Hanarati. You pass so many others, heading deeper and deeper towards the church. You've got to get beneath. Grease, it's your turn.
I yell to Griff.
Is it?
Oh my God, Griff, I'm so sorry.
I know I go last, but I do go.
You're so
I keep
slow, you
forgetting.
lose.
Yeah, I lose. All right. If I can, I would like to drop my rifle and pull out my.
You can
my
do
big
that.
axe.
You freely. You drop the rifle. You pull out your axe.
And then I swing at the creature on top of me.
You swing at the massive tentacles in front of you. It is going to attempt to riposte you.
Yeah.
Make your fighting brawl check.
Okay. I got a success.
All right. It swings, but you catch it full in the side.
All right. My damage is 3.
3. Okay.
I think that's not including my damage bonus.
Okay. Add your damage bonus.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Because that
You
would
did
be
roll
impossible.
a 1. You did roll a 1 though.
Yeah. Well, so my damage bonus is just a D4. I'll just add that to it. Oof, that's a lot of potential damage and not much actual damage.
Okay.
6 damage.
6 damage. All right. So you slam the axe into it. This thing has a thick hide. It is tough. Your axe barely makes purchase, but it eventually does, and you yank back, and a brightly colored blood spews out. What color is it?
Of the creature?
Yeah.
It is a greeny, like gross,
Ichor,
pustule
classic.
Ichor. It's a classic for a reason.
Firing out to one side as you pull back your axe, and this thing screeches. It wheels towards you. Grease.
So the creatures before me engage with myself and with Griff. Doc is heading towards the church, and Mac's gone inside the church just a moment ago. right?
No, sorry, I made that unclear. The spirit that was Doc is heading towards the church.
Doc.
The Doc's body, inhabited by some kind of remnant of a formless spawn, is trying to eat you.
Ah, very good.
nom
That's
nom.
what tricked me.
You-
So we
you've
can't
got
see the
Doc.
formless spirit.
At the moment, not yet.
Okay, no worries. I misunderstood. There's
Not
a lot
yet.
of ducks going around. All right. I'll yell to Griff. I'll go, we ain't gonna be able to kill these things without fire. We gotta run. Do you look like you are agreeing with the plan or staying?
I will say, run, go, find the marshal.
I
It
back
is-
up. Yeah, I
okay.
back
You know
up.
Griff's stubbornness.
I back up, and when with that like starspawn filling my field of view, I'll fan the hammer and fire at it 3 times, so that I only have 2 bullets left.
Bang, bang, bang. Roll me your attacks.
All right,
It's
so
fine. You've
penalty
got another
die
gun or
for
more bullets, right?
penalty die, or and
No penalty die. It's of a large enough size.
and it's point blank. So do I have a bonus?
Yep. So dive advantage.
All right.
Some extremes, friends. This
Oh,
thing
I-
is going to eat the
Fingers
town.
crossed. Would it like to impose disadvantage by dodging, James?
It will not.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. First
Doesn't think
attack.
That's a good idea.
That's a bonus. Success. I'll just roll all of them first. Another success. Let me just check the old. Yeah, no, just a success.
That's a hard success.
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yes, the second one's a hard. Third one, I will luck down to an extreme with 5 points.
Oh, fantastic.
All right, so 10 damage on the first. Bang.
Bang.
3 damage on the first. 10 damage on the second. Bang. 22 on the third. And I don't know if it's armor piercing or anything because it impales.
You don't worry. You've taken it out. You step backwards by dealing that much sheer damage. You got to remember, there's not much aside from the really terrifying things you can't kill that can take 30 damage. You step backwards, and Griff, yeah, I'll take it out. Bang, bang, bang. Griff, you see the first shot bounces harmlessly off the hide. The second one tears off one of the tentacles, and it wheels around to face a new threat. And the tiny hole you opened in its side with your axe suddenly gets hit perfectly with a bullet that flies straight through into the center, and it begins to shriek and move, and it collapses in upon itself, and then there is an explosion of light and color that forces you backwards. The light and color continues throughout the town, like stretching all out. And you suddenly see in the sky above you, more mist begins to coil. This thing is dispersed. You don't know if it's dead. You don't know if more are coming, but you feel a deep sense of terror in your stomach. You turn back. People are screaming in their houses. You can see the sky above you still is beginning to break. You don't have much time, and the monster that was Doc is going to make its turn. As you are fanning the hammer, it dives towards you.
Thrilled. Dodge! Dodge!
You'll
Dodge.
need extreme success.
Oh, this old thing? Nope. All right.
Oh, dear.
I
Okay.
feel like this would be an appropriate point for me to now put on fangs as well and just be like, snake creature, but I'll leave.
Jeez.
So this thing is every remnant of what was Joseph has been driven out of it. Every remnant that was Joseph is now drifting through as a spirit. This creature has some of Joseph's desire, some of Joseph's objectives maybe, but they have been warped into something else, something different. And Griff, Grease, you are not part
Classic.
of that terrible, terrible plan. It lunges towards you and it reaches out, and as it goes, the black tar-like substance forms out into a long blade along its hands, which it rams straight into your ribs, dealing impaling damage. So, you're going to take...
Don't die. I kind of don't want any of you to die. I mean, I do.
I think folks are gonna die.
Yeah, probably.
What's your damage bonus, Doc?
I don't have.
You don't know? Okay.
No, I don't have one.
don't have one?
I'm
Perfect.
I'm fast. My move is
Okay.
9, but my damage is. I don't have a damage bonus.
All right. Let's see how we go.
I can roll you my fighting brawl if you like.
14 damage. How are we looking?
You know,
Just
I got
explain.
8. I got 8 health left.
All right.
Hey,
so
that's more than I do.
it goes through your side and you like stagger onto one knee. The
Oh.
blade is pulled back and the thing stands over you laughing now as you begin to gurgle out. It's the most horrible pain you can imagine. I need you to make a constitution check and I need you to make a power check. This isn't for unconsciousness. Don't worry. This is for something much worse. All
You
right.
gonna have 8?
Yeah, I give me 8.
One thinks one is best to give 8 here.
So with those rolls, you spare the fate that was cast upon Doc. Some remnant of this thing does not become part of you as you are stabbed by it. You are driven to the ground, and upon seeing you as an unsuitable host, instead it pulls back its hand and raises it up again to strike you down. Mac, I know it's your turn, but we're going to jump to Grease because I think this is almost too Griff. We're going to jump to Griff because it's almost too perfect. You see this thing raising up and you're rushing forward with an axe.
Oh, I'm chopping that arm off.
Okay.
Griff!
Yeah.
Fucking
I
save
charge him.
me.
All right.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no!
All right. You
33.
s- Forward.
I'm too angry.
You raid.
I can't bring myself. Actually, I just as I'm about to swing down, I see a flash of the face of Doc, and I just can't. I
Just a
can't. I
second.
can't hurt Doc.
Oh, we're back. We're all good.
Oh, sorry.
You hesitate for just a second. Boy, that would have been a fun time to
I
drop
know,
out,
I
wouldn't
thought
it?
I saw that.
You hesitate for just a second. And that's all the time it needs. With a fumble,
Uh-oh.
Still got me.
he's back. We good?
Yep.
We are back,
Three
but
of
it's
you
not
don't-
great.
Yeah.
We're
I'll
back.
tell you what. Let's fix this as you stand up high. We'll fix this. We'll go to break. We'll be back in just 30
we're all right.
seconds.
I think we're
Keep
good. I
pushing.
think we're
Let's,
good.
if it doesn't once
We're all
more,
right. Oh, we're
third
back.
time's the
Okay,
charm.
never mind.
Third time's the charm.
Third time's the charm. You sprint forward. You raise up your axe. You see a flash of Doc's face. You can't. You can't do this. It's all the time it needs. You fumbled. It spins around, and that blade this time stabs straight forward for you. It's not impaling damage.
Oh.
Oh my god!
Wait, does it, he has
you
to
are.
he has to riposte me, doesn't he?
No, you fumbled, so it was an auto success.
Oh, so it's not a success.
Technically, he didn't fumble.
Oh yeah, because you have above 50.
Legally.
Well, then that's good enough. You've doubly succeeded. You managed to survive again. My God, the luck of that. You strike forward, this blade missing you by inches, and the thing that was Doc wheels around again. Mac, you're heading down the stairs. You're descending
us
into
back.
darkness. You run down, and suddenly you're in a chamber below the church itself. And as you look around, it's some kind of laboratory. It reminds you of all of the study that you've seen Doc doing. It reminds you of all of the study that you've seen so many do, you know, the labs of the serpent people, just trapped again in this endless and fruitless search for knowledge. You look around it, terrified, but the voice of Christopher sounds out and says, beneath. There's a rug in the center of the room. Blazoned upon it is a stylized version of the symbol of the Spanish Inquisition. Take forward, you lift it off, and you can see a trapdoor underneath.
Guess we'll keep going.
Christopher nods at you. Yes. And you lift up the trapdoor. You stroll further in, heading down into the dark. What are you expecting to find?
For some reason, like a big bank vault door that's keeping some terrible, unknowable thing locked down here. But like it's spooky.
Almost.
Oh.
You walk down into the dark, and up ahead you see the rough-hewn walls of a cave. You head further along a smooth passageway, and then as you round a corner, you see an eerie light shine out. Ahead of you is a small room that looks like it's been carved directly into the rock. It must meet the tunnels that fed water, and you can see mist is quite thick in here. It must have come from the steam that was released when this water started to boil. In the middle of this room is a black stone prism, plinth, table, shrine. You wouldn't really know what to call it. A large black mass of pure obsidian or some kind of terrifying stone. And ahead of it is a perfectly flat, perfectly still pool of water with a gleaming reflection inside it. Christopher motions towards the black stone and kind of gestures helplessly. There, put me there.
And this is gonna keep the people up there safe?
I can. Did you place him there?
I just want some assurance that he's on the straight and narrow, and if that means
I
psychology
can't
check.
do anything. The choice will all be yours. I'll explain. Just let me sit. Let me die comfortable.
Have we got time for a psychology roll?
I'll give this to you. He's telling the truth.
Alrighty then. Let's go along.
You place him down upon the shrine where he's basically just leaning against it now. He's not like on it. He's sitting against it. And you lean forward and he looks towards you and he fumbles up and he grabs at the bottom of your terrible coat. And he says, when I die, it will come out. He fumbles in his clothes and he pulls out a sickle and he starts trying to press it into your hand. A star in your eye. It's the only thing that will keep it at bay. It needs to hide. Someone else needs to take it over. You can just down into the water. If you don't, everyone will die.
You tell me that's the only way to keep him safe?
It needs a host. It needs something. It needs to pray. You have to. Doc, in spirit form, I think I'll call you Joseph to avoid confusion. Joseph, in spirit form, you are drifting through and forward, and you are heading beneath. You don't go through the walls. You follow along. You walk down the steps. You go through the laboratory. It's nice. You wish you had all of this, but that really doesn't matter anymore. You walk forward and you come down and you stand, and it's so difficult for you to talk. It's so difficult for you to say anything, but you can see Mac kind of leaning over and you hear this conversation. If you want to say anything, you're welcome to. Mac, you might hear Doc's voice. You might not. We'll see. It's simple. It won't hurt, not at the start, but the dreams you'll have, the dreams.
I'll attempt to put my hand on Mac's shoulder.
All right.
And say, I miss dreaming. Mac.
Mac, make for me a power check. Ooh, in which you turn around desperate. Can you hear something? Maybe? No, you can't, but maybe that's because you're not listening hard enough. You turn back for a second. You might have a chance to push this in a moment, but for the minute, you can see Christopher breathing his last, and you know you will soon, Mac, be in the situation that you've been for your whole life, alone, surrounded by nobody but the dead. That's how it's always been. And you need to make a choice. What's going through your head as this begins to occur? What do you intend to do?
Well, I reckon it's my fault he's on the floor dying, in some sense. And I've had a long life, long and prosperous, and I said this would be my last job. If I'm going to retire here, I might as well be here as anywhere else.
Reach forward and you hold your hand out for the sickle. Outside, it's chaos. It is rain. It is lightning breaking through the sky. Christopher is dying, and once again, the sky is exploding around you, shattering apart. Grease, it is your turn first. The monster that was Doc is still there. It's still alive.
I will repeat myself. Griff, we cannot kill this. I know we got the last one. That didn't count. This one will repel firearms. Run! And this time I am going to take off, heading for the church.
Okay, so you go sprinting off. This thing lunges after you.
I reholster my gun with my 2 bullets remaining.
You dart away, and this thing goes to chase after you, but then realizes that you aren't worth it. Griff, it turns towards you. You're closest. It is acting quickly. You know, it has time. It's going to work its way through every single one of these houses, one by one. The infection must be contained, and you are part of it. It lunges forward, attempting to swing at you. Do you want to make a dodge or a riposte check?
Riposte, please.
Fuck it
All right.
up.
Not if I can help it.
Come on.
Yes.
You swing past, bring down the axe with 4 points of damage. You slash into this thing.
Plus damage bonus, I think.
Oh, plus
I
bonus,
added the
yes.
damage bonus, but I can't. I don't know how to see it.
If you
Unless I
hover
rolled
it.
ones. On
You
both.
rolled 2 ones.
I rolled 2 ones.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
I have rolled so many ones in this, and a lot of them have been on sanity, which has been good. But yeah, I
all the
sliced-
same, when you attack this thing and you slash across it, you feel that, unlike bullets, an axe works. That's something more physical. There's more to it. This thing staggers backwards and does a little bit of that, touch at the wound, look at the wound, look it towards you, and suddenly you are pacing around the broken well, and surrounding you is like a ring of the dead. You feel like you're in an arena being, cheered on or watched by an ancient horde of people as you pace around, this mountain man with an axe in hand, facing this thing that was once your friend. It's your turn.
I'm gonna swing again. I'm not done. I yell at Grease. I'm like, I will be right behind you, and I swing the axe down.
All right. You tear forward. You raise the axe up high into the air.
And I would like to
Come on, baby.
luck that down to an impaling success.
All right. Well, it was good.
Uh,
I was going to say it riposte. I don't change that. It riposte, which means it fails. It can't riposte an extreme. So you swing down, impaling success, 11 damage. You slam down onto this thing and you sever one of its arms. You feel terrible because for a second, is this Joseph? But no, it's not.
Wouldn't that be more?
It'll be 14 plus
Oh.
6 and 3.
Just say it's actually my axe does not impale. So I don't know what a regular
that means it just deals max damage. It doesn't add on the roll. So you will
In that
deal.
case, max damage is 14.
14. Okay. Slamming down this enormous hit. Between that and the other damage done, normally I give you a description here, Griff, but I think Art, why don't we give it to you? What does this look like? This moment as the being that is inhabiting Doc is killed.
I think it stumbles back kind of in shock and a little bit of confusion as the body that it's in stops functioning. And I'm not sure whether this manipulation is quite as mobile as the other shadowy things that oozed out, but if it was attached to Doc's brain, I imagine it's also somewhat pissed off that it can't leave, and is sort of like hissing and snarling and scratching and
it is this howling mess, trying to rush forward. But Griff, you've taken this thing out now. You want to crush it under your boot?
As I swing the axe down into it like a second time as it's on the ground, there are tears falling down Griff's face and into his beard, and he stops for a second and he says, "You were right, Doc. That hurt, but the infection has to be cut out for the host to survive."
You turn back and you see all the people surrounding you. And they're standing and they, I don't know, they almost look proud. In the middle is Elijah Smythe, and he looks anything but. He is snarling, hatred in his face, and he begins to scream at you. And you can hear, as if muffled from 1,000 miles away, that voice, that hated voice. But the other spirits begin to merge around him. And he looks from one way to the other, and he starts to yell, but then they're grabbing at him. And then they're pulling him backwards. And then they're tearing him apart. And you see his spirit ripped asunder. And suddenly you're at peace, surrounded by just these people who are all nearby. And they're all quiet. They're all still with you. But they're not at the same time. And the rain makes them shimmer and fade away. Just so you can sort of almost not see them anymore. You can see the church in front of you with this blank face. You want to make for it?
I do, but I do so quite slowly.
Trudging forward. You got to get there. Grease, you're tearing down the stairs. You burst in. You can see the staircase leading down. You start running down. You're chasing further in. You know where they've gone and you've got to get there. But down the bottom, Mac, you're standing still. And you can see Christopher as he kind of looks up. You can see in his eyes, he's lived so long. And he thinks, am I dying? And then can that work? Can I die? I guess. And he stops moving. And you can see his eye suddenly fades out and returns to normal. And you were just looking at a very old man, older than he has any right to be. And the shimmering water in front of you begins to flicker and glow, and suddenly it is a giant iris, and you can see a broken portal in this still pool, and a giant twisting whirlwind of light. The sickle is lying in the ground, and you have picked it up. Are you walking into the pool?
Is that what I feel like I got to do?
The ritual that you seem to understand is that you have to put this back in somehow. You understand that you would walk into the pool and you would raise the sickle to your eye, and you would take on the same curse, the same burden that so many have before you.
That was the impression I was getting.
All right.
I thought I was going to take his eye out and put him, but that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
He can keep his. That's all right.
You start to walk forward, trailing the sickle. That voice you heard a second, I miss dreaming. I miss dreaming. You pause for a moment. Is it there? Did you hear it? Joseph, can I get you to make a power check? Extreme success. You force forward with every bit of strength left in your body. And for a second, down here at the edge of this world and another, Mac, you turn, you can see the faint outline of your friend, but as something different, as, you know, every human part of Joseph. And you can see, because this version of Joseph that is intact, his face is overwhelmed with guilt. Just every moment that is hit back. The two of you want to share any words?
Reckon I'm doing the right thing, ain't I?
This ain't your fault. It doesn't end here. You get a happily ever after if you want it. And I'll hold out my hand for the sickle.
Well, no offense meant, but not sure you got the faculty to take this on. No, I had a good long run. I said I was gonna retire, crawl into a grave as soon as this job is done. Seems that's where I find myself. It's all part of the job.
Mac, you turn back. You can see Joseph standing there, you know, moving forward, perhaps more to say. And you begin to walk down into the water. It splashes up around you, and with every, you know, little bit, it breaks into 1,000 worlds. You're just seeing this shimmering light, unlike anything you've ever seen, as you stroll right into the center of this pool, you know, surrounded by magical auras as you raise this sickle. In the shining light, you almost look as the statue outside did, raising the sickle to your eye. You perform the ritual?
Reckon I do.
Joseph, just very quickly, I want to say, as you were stepping forward, you can see Mac about to embark upon this journey. And just as you, you took something of the creature that you saw with you, or not an element of it, but knowledge, I suppose. You think that you could accompany Mac. You could walk in as well, and you could be at least some kind of company, some kind of, you know, presence.
That was essentially, I think I will probably not necessarily walk into the pool, because I don't know if I can, but walk towards Mac and just like hold both sides of his head as he takes his eye out and just say, you don't have to do this alone. I can help you. And it is a genuine warmth. And I think like Joseph will at that point merge into Mac and go with him to wherever it is that he is taking himself, because I think Joseph may have got a tiny idea of how horrifying this is going to be and how lonely it is, and he cares.
Mac, does that sound about right to you?
That sounds fine to me.
And in, you know, this awful moment, the Doc's spirit, Joseph's spirit, comes behind you. The pool is not kind to spirits, and it disintegrates Doc as he approaches. But with the last moments, he says exactly as Art described, and merges with you. You stand yourself alone. You raise this thing, and surrounded by light, begin to tear down grease. You burst down the steps, and you spot this scene just in time to see, you know, Mac begin to howl out in pain as he's pulling this sickle down along the side of his face. You need to make a sanity check. An extreme success. Why don't you tell me your reaction?
Okay. I come down the stairs and I yell, Jesus, Mac, God, no! And I sprint forward, hit on the edge of the water, and then begin to wade into it towards him. And as he turns round to face you for the first time, he's like completed it, I think. Like, you know, the eye is bloodied, and he holds his hand aloft, and he's got spots of blood on each of them. And I get like a fucking flash of my childhood in the church and everything, and basically seeing this dude as like a almost Christ-like figure. I hit him, wrap my hands under his, and hug him as tightly as I can, while burying my face into his fuck ugly coat and bawling my little eyes out. But I just want to be here with him while he goes through whatever he has to do.
Suddenly, you're standing there, Mac, and you're holding Grease, who at the end of the day is a child, in your arms, and he's crying. And, you know, a son of yours, I think in one way or another, in your arms as he bawls, and tears coming out of one eye and blood streaming down the other. You stand and you feel the presence of so much in your mind. Outside, the sky begins to stabilize, and as your mind twists and turns, you feel pain, sure, but also something else, something indescribable. But beyond all of that, you feel warmth of a body against yours, and a calmness of a friend who was willing to give everything for you. Griff, outside, you reach the base of the church, and just as you're about to step inside, the rain stops and the clouds begin to part. And you hear this howling and the yelling slowly stop from in the rest of the town. And while the ghosts that you saw stay nearby with you in some way or another, the town seems to return to normal. And soon, and dramatically soon, the sun will start to shine again. That's Shadows Over Stillwater, everybody. There's a lot left to say, and there's a lot left to discuss. I think there's a lot of epilogues that need to happen. Griff, I imagined that, you know, these spirits, they're not going to leave you. One way or another, they're going to stick around.
I think Griff would find comfort in them now, though. They don't haunt him like they once did.
After you.
He finds peace in them, and they comfort him. They represent the people that he once loved and the people that he once knew. He enjoys their company.
If you go back to the mountain, Griff, you'll never be alone again. Not truly, but it'll be with people who maybe you're happy to spend time with.
I think Griff would really enjoy that. But I think one more thing before I go that way. I would like to say to Mac, you know, Mac, we searched this whole state for one competent sheriff, and I think we just found one.
One.
I think you might have. Grease, you have been an orphan your whole life, and, you know, you might have found a father. You might have found, you know, even a godlike figure that something you've been searching for, told to search for a long time. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's not. Maybe you're going to be the first of the new devotees. Maybe, well, who knows? But do you find some peace in the moment?
I'm going to sell so many goddamn comic books.
Oh, absolutely. I think
this story is going to fucking crush, dude. But no, I think I love Mag for everything they did, and I'll stay for as long as I can be of help. But I imagine sooner rather than not, this is not my place, and I'll probably depart as well.
Mac, this town is yours now. This church is yours. The people here, they turn to you immediately as leader, most of them at least, which is good because you've got some questions you need answering, but luckily they should be able to answer them. It's not the retirement you had in mind. In fact, it's a duty that, if everything goes right, will never end. But as you start to move through the town, you start to take over new responsibilities in the coming days, you will feel your body kind of halt. A lot of the pains and aches that you felt, the soreness in your back, the pain in your joints, it fades away. You feel young again. And in a way, you're a rookie in a new job. So, well, maybe that's right. Is there anything else you're thinking?
Well, I figured when I retire, I'd probably get a ranch and a few cows, maybe a few sheep to run. I
Yeah.
guess this is the next closest thing.
I suppose so. You know, Greece is going to be heading out back towards the wide world soon. Any parting words of advice, letters of recommendation, badges?
I think you best tell him I'm dead.
I can do that.
Keep folks away from here.
Do you really think you're gonna live forever?
No, not for a long time. I didn't. So makes sense. That's what I get.
All right. Well, Mac, promise I'll visit you. And I also promise, I ever see a glint to Christopher in your eyes, I'll kill you.
I'll be counting on it.
There's going to be, a lot of trials ahead for you, Mac. They say, well, Christopher said, and the people who came before Christopher, who shouldered this burden in previous years, probably would have said a similar thing. They would have said that over time, you go mad trying to find a way to keep this thing at bay when you realize that you can't be eternal. No one can be. You'll do anything to find more knowledge, more research, a desperate way to stop it. But you've got someone else on your side. Because every night, in the reflection of that pool under the church, which now stays empty, a spirit emerges, makes its way upstairs towards the laboratory that you keep perfectly maintained, where finally Joseph can be at peace. And every night he finds himself studying away, tapping on a notebook, exploring all the mysteries of the world, totally determined to help and knowing that one day he'll find a way to put that thing back. You've all done so well. You've all nailed this campaign. Thank you so much. Thank you, Daniel.
Yeah.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Jackson. Thank you, Art. You're all incredible. Yes, sorry.
I had a note that I wrote.
You
May I-
did. Tell us the note.
Are we saving some stuff for
Oh,
next
that's a good
week?
point. Do you want to reveal it now or do you want to reveal it?
No, I think given that this is epilogue, because Griff will find it in my medicine bag attached to his horse.
Sounds good. Let's
He opens it, but
please do share.
I wrote it down.
Oh, fantastic.
Dear Griff, I know you ain't strong with your letters, so I hope you can find someone to help. But if these words go unread, so be it. I realize what I'm doing now seems monstrous, and maybe it is. But I am doing what I believe is right. But you are also right. That ain't enough. This bag means helping folk, and since I ain't doing that, I'm passing it to the only man I know who does. 'Cause he helped me to see it. Do what you will with it. Use it, sell it, destroy it. But I hope, however, you'll see a way to pass it on to someone who can use it. Someone like the boy I used to be. God bless, my friend. And thank you, Joseph Waite.
It's a hell of a note.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Griff will take the bag and he'll hold it on until he finds someone who's worthy of carrying it. But I don't know if he ever will find someone who's worthy of carrying it, because nobody could live up to Doc
Well,
in any way.
there's still an epilogue to speak to. And on that note, we're going to be back next week. So everybody here, we're going to be back talking about this campaign. We'll be fielding questions everybody has. We'll be talking about some of the secrets behind Shadows Over Stillwater and Down Darker Trails. We'll be having a beer and having a chat in general. We'd love to have you there, because we're also going to be talking about what's coming next. We have a lot of very exciting things planned. The stream is getting bigger and better. And we will see you next week, or so we hope, to join us for the epilogue of Shadows Over Stillwater, and for a little preview of what's to come. Thanks once again, wholeheartedly, to all of the cast, to Dave, to Daniel, to Jackson, to Art. You're all fantastic. And thank you,
Jamie.
And a big thank you to Jamie, who made this campaign for obvious reasons. We're blessed to have a keeper who is as skilled as you are.
Keep it to the stars.
You're very, very kind. We'll thank you to the audience. Remember, you can catch up with everything on the Chaosium YouTube channel. Subscribe to us there. Follow us on Twitch. Really helps us out. Thanks for watching. And, keep your gun loaded. It's dangerous out there. See ya.